What is this sovereign remedy? It is to recreate the European family, or as much of it as we can. We must build a kind of United States of Europe.
The United States of Europe is a geopolitical fantasy. Winston Churchill called for it in 1946, but 80 years later, the project has hit a political limit. Despite the treaties, the single currency, and the open borders, a fully federal superstate is effectively dead on arrival. Here's why the United States of Europe is never going to happen. I am breaking this down into 3 fundamental obstacles that no amount of political will can overcome. First up, identity. We are looking at the Moreno question and why the social makeup of the continent makes a single state impossible. Secondly, national interests. We are analyzing why French nuclear doctrine and German fiscal conservatism are fundamentally incompatible with a federal merger. And thirdly, legal issues. The legal firewalls erected by the German Constitutional Court that explicitly forbid the creation of European state. This is not about wishful thinking. This is about the hard limits of power. First up, the identity. For a state to survive, it requires a demos, a single political community that trust each other enough to share resources and accept majority rule. In Europe, that demos does not exist. Social scientists use a Moreno question to measure where political loyalty actually lies. It asks citizens to rank their identity: national only, national then European, European then national, or European only. The data is consistent and damning for federalists. The vast majority of population identify primarily with their nation. The European identity is almost always secondary. It's a luxury additive, not a fundamental allegiance. This matters because political legitimacy rests on this emotional bedrock. If you do not feel a kinship with a citizen in another region, you will not accept a transfer of wealth to them. International relations scholar Stephen Wald analyzed this in his 2011 foreign policy article, Nationalism Rules. Wald argued that nationalism remains the single most powerful political force in the modern world. It defeats empires, it breaks up unions, and it overrides economic logic. The EU attempts to be post-national, but its citizens are not. Europe lacks the basic infrastructure of a single nation. There are 24 official languages, yet there is no common media. A scandal in the Portuguese parliament does not register in the Polish press. A crisis in the Baltic states does not trigger an emotional response in rural France. Without a shared language, there is no shared public debate. Without a shared public debate, there is no accountability. Without a shared public sphere, you cannot have a shared political sacrifice. When the bill comes due, whether it is for welfare or military defense, voters revert to their national silos. They will not pay for strangers they do not understand. You cannot build a democracy without a people, and there is no European people. Secondly, national interests. A United States of Europe requires a single army and a single foreign policy. This is where the project collides with reality. Take France. Paris possesses the continent's only independent nuclear deterrent. The nuclear button belongs to the French president. There is no scenario where France hands over the codes to a committee in Brussels or a commissioner from a non-nuclear state. Without central control of the military, you do not have a state. You have an alliance. Look at money. A federation requires a fiscal union, a mechanism to permanently transfer wealth from rich regions to poor regions, just as New York subsidizes Mississippi. Germany and the frugal northern states have consistently blocked this. During the euro crisis, the limits of solidarity were exposed. German taxpayers accepted transfers to Saxony. They do not accept permanent transfers to Sicily. The political contract in Germany is based on fiscal prudence, while the political contract in Southern Europe often relies on state spending. This friction is why the European Council remains the supreme political body. Federalists talk about the European Commission, but the real power lies with the heads of states in the Council. These leaders are elected to advance national interests, not federal ones. Look at the geopolitical split regarding energy and security. Poland and the Baltics view Russia as existential threat. Their security strategy is 100% reliant on the United States and NATO. They do not trust the European defense structure that might be hesitant to confront Moscow. Meanwhile, Germany wants to export cars to South America through the Mercosur trade deal. France and Poland block it to protect their domestic farmers. These are not minor policy disagreements. These are fundamental conflicts of national survival strategies. You cannot federate nations that are pulling in opposite strategic directions. Thirdly, legal issues. Every time the European project has attempted to formalize the constitution, the voters have rejected it. In 2005, the EU proposed a constitutional treaty. It was supposed to be a founding document of a new superstate. The French voted no. The Dutch voted no. The EU rebranded the constitution as the Lisbon Treaty to bypass referendums. But when Ireland was legally required to vote on it in 2008, they voted no as well. The pattern is irrefutable. When you ask the population directly if they want to dissolve their nation into a federal Europe, the answer is consistently negative. But the biggest barrier isn't just the voters, it is the law. The German Federal Constitutional Court in Karlsruhe has erected a legal firewall against the federal Europe. In 2009, the court issued its judgment on the Lisbon Treaty. While they allowed the treaty to pass, they set a hard limit. The court ruled that the German Bundestag must retain sufficient power to shape the living conditions of German people. They explicitly stated that the EU cannot become a state unless the German people adopt a new constitution. Then in 2012, during the debt crisis, the court doubled down. They ruled that the power of the purse must remain with the German parliament. Germany cannot sign a blank check to Brussels. Any liability must be capped, and the Bundestag must approve every major financial move. This legal doctrine culminated in 2020, when the court threatened to declare actions by the European Central Bank beyond their powers if they were not proportional. Unless Germany rewrites its entire basic law, which requires a supermajority that does not exist, the legal path to federation is closed. So here is the reality. We will see more integration where it is convenient. We will see more joint procurement. But we will not see a United States of Europe. The social foundation is missing. The national interests are divergent. The legal apparatus is broken. Churchill's dream was not a blueprint. The nation-state remains the only political unit that can command legitimacy, enforce law, and guarantee debt. The federation is impossible. Maybe you think I'm wrong, and the United States of Europe is actually possible. Or maybe the nation-states are actually here to stay. Let me know in the comments.